up, everybody, and welcome back to RobLive. This is episode 14. You do not have to be a natural. So today, as always, we're going to start with some quotes. And the first quote is, when people say artists are born with talent, you're not. You have to really learn and really practice. This quote comes from Grammy recording artist Ed Sheeran. The second quote is, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, coming from basketball coach Tim Noki. So today's episode was actually inspired by this Ed Sheeran quote. And this is something he said on the Jonathan Ross show, which is a super popular British television show that Ed Sheeran was a guest on. And so what happened in this particular episode is he's talking to Ed Sheeran about his music and when he first started out. And he said, hey, do you have any of your old songs, your old demos when you first began recording music? And he goes, yeah, actually I do. My mom eBays some of them. She's like, really? Yeah, she eBays some for charity, but there's some I won't let her sell. And he's like, really? What's wrong with those? And he's like, well, they're from like when I first started singing and they're really bad. He's like, when you mean bad, what do you mean? He's like, well, just let me show you. And Ed Sheeran breaks out his phone and he plays one of the songs that he first recorded when he first tried to become an artist. And he's really off key. He's almost sounds tone deaf. At the time, you can't believe it's him. And everybody has a good laugh about it. But what really struck me is this idea that Ed Sheeran was actually that bad of a singer when he started, and that it didn't deter him from his goal. So what I want people to understand is that this concept of being a natural, of being someone who's good at something right away, is not a realistic expectation for everything you're going to try to do. And just because you're not really good at something when you first try to do it doesn't mean you should stop trying to do it. We have this perception in society that everybody has this natural gift that you're just born with, and immediately it comes to you, and you're really good at it right away, whatever that skill may be. And it's not the reality of what many people end up creating in their lives. You do not look at a guy like Ed Sheeran and say he's a natural artist, that he naturally was just musically inclined and a great singer. He wasn't. There is proof. You can check the video out on YouTube. It says Ed Sheeran singing badly. And he's the one, when we go back to the quote, when people say artists are born with talent, he was very clear to say, hey, I want to make sure you guys know you have to really work at this. You have to really want it. And do not be deterred if you're not good at something right away. When I think about my own life growing up, I was a firm believer in this idea of being a natural at something. And so I would try various things that I thought were enjoyable. And some of them I'd be good at, fairly quickly. And others I was horrible at to begin with. And so that's how I gauged my life with what came easy to me. And I realized that I missed out on a lot of opportunities where there was something I enjoyed, but it didn't come easy to me right away. And if I had just stuck it out, I would be so much better. I didn't have to be a natural at something in order to pursue it. So some of the bad habits that I had was I would avoid conditioning when it came to sports because I enjoyed soccer, I enjoyed football, I enjoyed basketball, I enjoyed baseball. But all of those sports required your body to be in, physical shape. And I was not someone who enjoyed running. And so anytime we had conditioning at practice, I would either fake an injury or not show up that day. And obviously, I wasn't pushing myself. I couldn't get better. I can honestly say, I don't think I ever played a soccer game when I was truly in shape. I was never truly fit the entire time I played soccer. And that's from like ages 8 up until about 22, 23 years old. I was never in shape. Why? I would avoid conditioning. I wouldn't push myself. And so I was good enough to get by with some of my natural talent and still be somewhat successful, but nowhere near the player I could have been had I not avoided the hard work. I think about some other things that I'm actually pursuing now, right? One of them actually speaking of Ed Sheeran, is singing. I've always enjoyed singing. Now, obviously, I've never gotten really good at it because, again, I've never put in the work necessary. But I'm now at that stage where I feel like I have the mindset to pursue that and actually put in the work and diligently, do scales and sing on a regular basis and learn the breathing technique. And let's see. The goal by the end of this year is to sing the national anthem publicly at some sporting event. So stay tuned for that video. It's coming. But anyway, I avoided challenging tasks at school as well. If math was too difficult, well, then I'd stop trying. If we had a huge test that I didn't think I was going to do well on, I'd be absent that day. My whole life existence was around avoiding difficult tasks and challenges and embracing that which came easy and natural to me. And so it kept me from true growth for many years. It wasn't until later in life that I started to embrace the hard work, because I started to really want some significant results in different areas of my life. And I started to see that. And pretty soon I stopped being afraid of the hard work. And I feel like that's where a lot of my confidence comes today. Like, for example, I'm in front of a camera right now, right? I didn't, grow up in front of the camera. I'm not, professionally trained in broadcasting or journalism, any of this. But I do know that if I work hard enough and I do this long enough, I'm going to get really good in front of the camera, right? But you have bad starts. You look at my first episode, there's a lot of pauses. There's a lot of losing track of my subject. There's a lot of not engaging with my audience, right? And you go on through all the episodes and I get better and better with each one, because I now understand this whole concept that I don't have to be good at something right away in order to pursue it. And that's hopefully what you can embrace and walk away with from today's episode, right? So the lesson here is, do not get discouraged and do not walk away from things that you're trying to do just because you're not good at them right away. You need to have that trust and faith in yourself, and also trust this process that begins really tough. A lot of times this is reinforced in my teaching, because as a creative writing teacher, right, we're teaching kids how to write, and it's a very progressive thing. It has stages. And so first drafts I know are going to be terrible. My first draft is always rough and terrible and kind of just jumbled together, but it's a step in the right direction. I don't panic because my rough draft is bad, because I know that writing is a process, and we'll go from rough draft to revised draft, and then we'll get some peer editing involved, and ultimately we'll have a final draft that'll be significantly better than the rough draft. And many times in life, we're walking away from our quote unquote rough draft attempts. Well, I tried swimming once and I nearly drowned. Oh, okay. Was it your first time? Yeah. So what did you expect to be like, pulling off an Olympic style butterfly your first time you jumped in the pool? Right. Well, I tried to sing once. Well, what was it like? Well, I was off key and, I couldn't really keep a tune. So it was your first time singing. Oh, yeah. So you expected to be on the mic and become Whitney Houston overnight. See how these expectations seem like ridiculous now that we put them in perspective, right? Oh, I don't dance anymore. Why? Because the first time I tried to dance, I felt like I had two left feet. Well, yeah, it was your first time dancing. So I need people to start embracing bad starts, because they're a natural process, part of the process. Think about when, babies learn to walk. They're fumbling, they're crawling on the ground. Like every other person I know has some sort of scar on their head somewhere from falling as a child learning to walk. And not once have we ever looked at a child who's learning to walk and said, oh, forget it, throw in the towel, that kid's never going to learn how to walk. No, we can see them stumbling and fumbling and falling, and we're not deterred by the process, because we truly believe that ultimately they will learn to walk, and we will continue to work with them until they do. Why can't we take that same mindset to other skills and other pursuits in life? We can. So, my challenge for you today is, number one, identify a skill or goal that you would honestly pursue if you were guaranteed to succeed. If failure was not an option, what is something in life that you would pursue? I want you to write that down. Then number 2, I want you to create a long-term plan of action to achieve that goal and set a schedule to practice whatever task this is daily. Whether, let's say if it's singing, right? You would start with learning some warm-up routines. You can find those on YouTube. Some skills training, maybe even get a vocal coach. There's a lot of online coaching now for singing. And practice working with your voice daily, right? And then set a long-term plan, right? Kind of like, for my example, my long-term plan is to do vocal training on a daily basis for the next 3 to 4 months. And then ultimately, I'm going to sing the national anthem at some sort of athletic sporting event by the summer. Okay? Then, step 3, put in the work. Do not be afraid to put in the work. Do not be deterred by a bad start. Do not be discouraged because you don't feel like you're a quote-unquote natural at whatever it is you're trying to pursue. Okay? You don't have to be a natural to be successful at something. If you don't believe me, go check the Ed Sheeran YouTube video. It's out there. Okay? So, until next time, love, peace, chicken grease. I'm RobLive.